Hey all, Snoo here. Welcome to a very different kind of video. This is a kind of reaction video, something that's obviously very popular these days on YouTube, and it's going to be done completely outside the game. Definitely not going to be the primary focus of this channel, but occasionally I do think there will be some times where I want to actually give kind of a community reaction to something that's going on. Definitely I think it would be a cool idea to do this for all of the major reveals for the new seasons. Incidentally, we have a brand new season coming up like in less than a day. The reveal for that season 3.18 is coming out, and I do plan to make a reaction video on that. Unfortunately, it's taking place in the wee hours of the morning, so I will follow that up on the day after and make the video there. But this video is not about that topic. It is about a pretty well-known content creator called PathofMath's, and he's a brilliant guy. I got all the love in the world for this guy because he's super hardworking, extremely smart. I've actually talked to him personally in game when he mirrored a bow that I did that I asked for last season. There was actually a small issue with that trade process on my end, and he was super kind about it. So I got nothing but praise for this guy. But I do want to actually go through a huge project that he did this season because it is sort of relevant to the kind of content that I do or the kind of way I play the game. And it was such an enormous task and such a big thing that I've decided to actually make a sort of reaction video on it. Now, reaction video is kind of a tricky thing because on the one hand, you know, I want to be, I like being prepared before I make a video. I like having like notes in front of me and make sure I got my points, being concise and everything. You know, my videos sometimes run a little long, but at the same time, when you're trying to react to something, you want it to be genuine, you want it to be authentic, and it's a little bit off the cuff. So we kind of compromise a little bit by, I've already seen this video that he posted. This is his final video on the update. This is the last one. He hasn't actually posted a video in the last 3 weeks, so presumably this is the final one. It does actually say final in the title, final update. And inside this video is in the description here is a link where you can download the spreadsheet. So that is available for you. I do want to actually play something here real quick called the goals of the project. Now, the reason I want to play this on the stream is because I know some of you might be thinking, you know, how relevant is something like this for me as someone who's doing like mega juicing stuff, sort of magic find focus on there. If you weren't already aware, I don't think, I'm not 100% sure, because again, authentic take here, authentic reaction. I don't think there's any information about magic finding on here when I just look at the list on here. So it almost kind of looks like the way I make currency is just completely void on this list. So that's a little bit of a letdown, but we'll explain why. I mean, there's a pretty valid reason for that, which we'll get into a little later here. I missed the goals of this project. I mean, I listened to it, but it didn't really sink in. There's just something I was going to criticize a little bit, but because he posted the section with the goals in the project, it kind of addressed that criticism in here. Let's go ahead and listen to that together. The sound should be good on your end.
Something a lot of people didn't really understand is that the goal of this entire project is to help the people who are struggling with making any amount of currency. It's not to try to tell you guys what to do that is the absolute best, because the thing is, the things that are the absolute best, such as, you know, simulacrum farming, such as, you know, triple beyond giga juicing, such as, for example, delirium mirror farming, those strategies are always good no matter what. And how good they are is going to depend on, well, of course, your character, your speed, how efficient you are, stuff like that.
Yeah, so this is kind of one of the major points or criticisms I was going to have is that I don't think any of this testing included time spent, and that is actually on my videos when I'm testing things. Obviously I didn't go about it the same way he did, but I use a little bit the way I develop an idea for testing a particular strategy and how much currency per hour it makes. The way I developed that idea is certainly a little different than the way he went about this whole test, but certainly one enormous variable involved is the time it takes to do it, not just for preparing the materials, but the time it takes to run the maps. So, if I make on average 50 chaos in a map one way, but I average 100 chaos per map in another way, you would think on its face 100 chaos per map is better. That's a net profit, by the way. So 50 chaos net profit versus 100 chaos net profit per map. But if it takes me 3 times as long to do the 100 chaos per map profit, then it's actually less profit per hour. So, it's very simple, easy to understand that. And it's a little bit of a letdown that none of that particular factor is not included in any way on these testing, again, as far as I'm aware. But at least here he's sort of addressing the fact that, yes, time is a factor, and it's not really going to be included on this spreadsheet.
But the people who I'm really targeting with this project is the people who are like, oh, I've never had more than 10x in the league. I play every day. I've never had a headhunter.
Okay, so right there, I know that's not me. That was me maybe in the first half of the first season I ever played. I'm a veteran Diablo player. I know ARPG genre pretty well, so I was able to pick this up quite quickly, even though PoE is a terribly complex game. This kind of game is my wheelhouse, so I'm naturally pretty good at it, at playing this game and figuring out relatively quickly how to make currency with or without guides. And on that note, I definitely do research a lot of stuff. God knows how many hours I spent researching this game before I ever really even got past Act 1. So, yeah. Just want to be a little relatable to you guys.
For the last 3 leagues, right? Those are the people who this project is mostly aimed at, and I think we did an extremely good job at finding out the data and basically targeting those people when we head into the casual Excel document here. Syriac Zark, I did a...
Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you guys there. I really wanted to key in that and hit that point there. The rest of this video is really just kind of going through some of the numbers, and you can just see them all right here. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go and we're going to text the spreadsheet. It says feel free to drop a sub or follow on this channel. Absolutely. That's a good question. Yes, you'll see I'm already subscribed to it. I thought I was. I just want to make sure. So I'm not someone who subscribes to just anyone. I definitely am a little bit picky with my subscription. And, if you subscribe to me, great. That's nice. If not, that's cool. But he is somebody that I felt was worthy to subscribe to. So let's see here. It says something about here, dark reader to access. So this is going to be easier on the eyes. If I feel like I have to do that, I'm just going to remake the video. But for now, I'm not going to do that. Let's see. It's got a nice link there. Document saved to your own PC. Extremely high. I'm not going to actually save this right now. You can do that if you want. The traffic should be pretty low at this point because this is a little late on this reaction video. I kind of wanted to make this a little earlier on when there was a lot of hype around it. But anyway, we're getting to it a little after the fact. Hopefully the traffic is not too bad. You can see what it would look like if you had the dark reader. It would be a little easier on your eyes. Okay. Looks like down here at the very bottom we got all of the tabs. Second tab, okay. Now, I've not even looked at this stuff, guys. I've not even looked at this. I've not even glanced at it, really. So I'm just kind of going through this here at the same time. I know it's going to make the video a little bit longer because I'm going to be a little, ooh, what's this, But, again, authentic React video, right? So here we go. First, import third video. Okay, that's nice. It looks like we got a superb list of third-party tools. Let's see. Are there any of these that I don't use? Chaos Recipe Enhancer. I don't think I used that one actually. PoE Lab. I remember I downloaded that, but I've not really used it because I don't like lab running. Generally speaking. PoE DB. I don't think I have that. But yeah, everything else I definitely use. Path of Exile Wiki. I don't actually have a plugin for that or anything, but obviously I have a lot of, I use that website a lot. No, I don't think I use any of those there. Okay, so let's see. So I guess that's just kind of a, that's not really relevant to the content of this video, but just nice for him to post all those links there. Okay, use an appropriate leveling filter. That's good. I tend to use just a default leveling filter, believe it or not. I go on like usually what I do is I do semi-strict, and then I run that like all the way to almost the end of maps, and then I finally take off like scrolls of wisdom, scrolls of portal scrolls, and that's like the first thing I change on there, if I remember correctly. I could be mistaken. Okay. Keep moving. You do not need kill every enemy in every zone while leveling. Yeah, that's certainly true. Leveling tips. So this is about leveling. It's not really about anything super important. Anything I really want to get into. So here's something I didn't expect. I did not expect there to be an entire leveling guide. It says the Casual Exile Guide. So I guess it's got a guide on everything for leveling. I should actually take a look at that because my leveling speed is horrendous. So yeah, let's see here. I went straight into maps prep here. It's got some flask. Okay, that's cool. Atlas progression, master missions. Okay, that's just kind of some simple stuff here. So it looks like the front end of this is actually just a lot of information that does not particularly pertain to what I wanted to talk about. I might have liked it better if he divided that into two separate documents, but one focused more on leveling and preparing for maps, and the other focused on actually again, because it's a little bit annoying because I'm having to like waste time filtering through this, trying to get to the meat of it. I don't recall seeing a single thing mentioned about leveling in that video he posted. Corruptions. Oh no, it's of advanced players only. Oh, it's for me. Okay. Let's see here. So here is something I actually do a lot when I'm leveling. Something that obviously slowed me down in my leveling process, but I had a couple of semi-end game, certainly end game for League Start uniques. 3 of them that I specifically vowed over and over. I would have a live search set up on a necklace, a belt, and the gloves. That I was just these are like 1 chaos necklaces, belts, and gloves, and they have terrific val implicits. And they have like garbage or nothing implicit by default, and it can really make or break the items. The Wretch belt was one of the best things I ever decided to do for leveling. It's such an incredible belt, and I got like a val implicit of 14% increased skill effect duration on a Toxic Rain Raider leveling, and I had that at like level 60. That was just so good. It was such an amazing unique, and I carried that all the way until I had a Headhunter. So again, I was kind of thinking about the longevity of my leveling experience, the end game. When would I replace this item? And the answer is pretty obvious. I was not going to replace it until I got into the end game with Headhunter farming and all that stuff. So that's cool to see him mention some things, some particularly great implicit. Let's see if that belt one is even on here. Oh, there it is. 12 to 15% increased skill effect duration at fabulous corruption. So, on day 1, day 2, or really day 1 chaos. I mean, yeah, it kind of matters a little bit. There's a lot of things you can do with 1 chaos, but considering I would create the belt and then sell the version that where it did nothing to it for a profit on day 1. So I would buy the 2 parts to make the Wretch belt. I would combine them. I would val it. If it bricked, okay, then it's trash. But as long as it didn't brick, which is, 50% of the time, just nothing happens to a belt when you val orbit, I would turn around and sell that belt for like 4 chaos. Even though I paid like 1 or 2 chaos for the materials to make it. Okay, here. So we got upgraded items. Okay, I'm not very interested in that. Let's go through here. Whoa, man, there's a lot of tabs. Holy crap. Low investment flips. Well, I was talking about the Wretch Belt. That was certainly one thing I was doing. Flipping does seem to actually be the highest currency per hour thing you can do, but you have to have extremely intimate knowledge of the game, many seasons gone by, and be aware of all the changes that take place during that. Okay, I guess this is the next tab down here. Hideout is lava. Okay, I think I understand the metaphor there. Hopefully you guys too. Eldritch crafting. Now, I actually did not do Eldritch crafting. I have never even once used an Eldritch orb or anything. So when it comes to crafting, it's a huge time sink. I actually don't want to even mess with crafting if I'm not doing anything for myself whatsoever. So the times when I've taken a deep dive into crafting, going on Craft of Exile and did a lot of testing and stuff, and who knows, maybe even made a video about it, it's always because I was crafting for myself first, and then I would sell the things that didn't quite meet my expectations. And then, all the time it took for me to learn that craft inside and out, I kind of try and share it for you guys as much as I can. You notice I didn't really come out with any crafting videos this season, certainly not in the latter half of this season. It's because I didn't really do any crafting this season. I just, mapping was so much currency per hour. I enjoyed mapping so much, I didn't really want to be a hideout warrior. I guess what you might say to that is spending a lot of time in the hideout for any reason whatsoever is kind of an indicator that you didn't really enjoy the season all that much as far as like playing the game. So if that's any indicator at all, I mean, that suggests that I thoroughly enjoyed the season a lot because I didn't want to spend any time in the hideout flipping or crafting or anything like that. So that's cool. I don't know anything about this, so I can't really react to that part. And again, that's not super what this video is about. Okay, so I think all right, this is still about chaos recipe and endless heisting, de-leveling yourself. I know a little bit about that. I tried that once. I didn't like it actually. I think doing the chaos recipe in early maps is just better. Getting into the map progression earlier. Yeah, you might be a little short on rings and amulets, but I don't know. To me, you can still make decent currency on day one, like doing like white maps and yellow maps, getting your progression done at the same time. And you're going to get to the end much faster, and then you're going to make more currency in the long run, in my opinion. I think a lot of you might disagree with that, but that's just kind of how I feel. I did try the sort of Endless Heist 1 season, Scourge League. I tried that. Okay. Finally, I think we got our first tab here, and it's about strong boxes, literally my favorite one. So I do want to pay a lot of attention to this one right here. It says, I want to talk about low investment mapping strategies. Okay, good. I think low investment mapping strategies is actually really good this season in particular here. The value of any one strong box on average from a sample size of 4,000, 2.83. Now, I probably won't spend this much time going through every single tab, but strong boxes is my jam, so definitely going to want to look at this one. Okay. So we also did essences at the same time, so it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know, essences was okay early on, but I didn't think it was really all that good in the end. Again, some people might disagree with that too. The problem is essences doesn't juice up your map in almost at all, with the exception of putting like one rare or two rares on the map. Tree with Abyss, Tree with Legion, Tree with... Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So you can copy that and see kind of what tree he used. Tree with Heist. A lot of stuff there. A lot of information. A lot of valuable information. You gave a few different trees with a few different ancillary farms, it looks like. Favorite maps. Okay. Cool, but I mean, it doesn't go into any detail about diviners, strong boxes, or currency, doubling currency, diviners. It doesn't talk about juicing. It doesn't talk about pack size. Strong boxes are greatly impacted by pack size. Doesn't talk about the sextant. So again, it's low investment mapping strategy. So it's just not. I don't know. The problem is this information right here is very relevant to me on like the first 2 days, maybe 3 days of the league, and beyond that, it's just not. I start going above and beyond what that information can address. June missions. Okay. Well, I know for a fact June is not good doing early on because nobody has the currency to buy T4 Icelings and that sort of stuff. Okay. I'm not really going to look at this much, but it is cool that kind of like even so one thing I'm not very aware of is I do have a pretty good idea how to set up my mastermind thing, but as far as like setting up the safe house, like tier 3 stuff. Oh, actually no. Well, yeah, it does have some of that information here. Tier 3, tier 4. Anyway, I thought for a second I was looking at something that was actually giving kind of a currency per hour, including the safe houses themselves, like Hillock. If you do Hillock armor, 28% armor, that's still worth something. You can still sell that. Okay, cool. Delirium orbs. Now this is something I might try to do next season. PathofMath actually did say that he farmed unique cluster jewels and delirium orbs and delirium on day 1 and 2, and he got his headhunter in 2 days flat before it really screamed out of orbit in terms of the price. That definitely turned my head a little bit and contributed to my appreciating him as not only a content creator but a gamer. Somebody who doesn't just talk the talk but walks the walk too. Because a lot of the content creators kind of just talk the talk. They don't really, they talk about things above their level in some cases. PathofMath definitely not. He definitely is the real deal. Okay, so let's see here. We got delirium. I kind of want to look at this one a little bit here. I remember him saying the one that gave the enchantments on the helms was super good on like day 1, day 2. That was interesting, and he kept buying that one. The one that puts the lab enchant automatically on the helmet. That was so interesting to me that people would just buy random eye level 82 or 83 helmet with the enchant they want, because the enchant's so powerful, and like day 1, day 2 they're just alch or essence craft a random helmet that way, and that would be a worthy upgrade for that point in the season. That was quite interesting. But it looks like the tests here are not done with day 1 or day 2 in mind. They're done in the middle of the season there. Seeing how skittering is on the top, fossilized being pretty high. I was a little surprised to see fossilized so high. So fossilized delirium orb looked like it was good currency per hour, or sort of net currency. It is a fairly cheap orb, and I see that it. I recall it can drop primal resonators. The four slotted resonators. It can drop those. That's like on instant 40 chaos. When that happens, unique cluster jewels, super valuable early on, but not so much later on, of course, with the exception of 1 or 2. Okay, cool. I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'll take a look at that later. Here, Expedition. A lot of people, God, they loved Expedition a lot. 134, 90. Okay. Now, I did not do Expedition at all. I know how to do it. It's just not really my cup of tea. Let's have to slow down quite a bit. The logbooks were fun, and I completely understand why people love the logbooks and that content. For me, it was not as fun, not as thrilling as mapping. I do remember being chased by almost unkillable expedition monsters in logbooks, so that was kind of thrilling, I will say. Winged sextant. It's interesting that he actually included some winged sextants in this, casual currency farming spreadsheet. Unlike certain other mechanics such as blight, quantity matters a ton when it comes to farming expedition. Yes, okay. That is good information there. Yeah, these altars, my favorite altars right there. Important. The order in which you set the... Oh, okay, yeah. Of course we know that. I didn't know until early on the season that quantity dramatically increased, like the amount of reroll currencies that came from expeditions, though. That was new information for me. But, I mean, it's not enough to... Oh, the small skulls are not vertical, only the tall skulls. Okay. The small ones really don't matter at all, I guess. Do they really not matter at all? I mean, I guess they could drop something. Okay, let's move on. Breachstone farming. So I did this actually in the season. I on the Atlas passives, I took the nodes which increased the chance for the boss to spawn and increased the chance to get like charged breachstones and stuff. I think it was a trap. Man, I think it was a trap. Value of 1 breach with Chayula Sextant. Chayula Sextant, yeah. So the thing about these Chayula Sextants, it doesn't add any monsters on the map. So again, as someone who is kind of focused, my primary focus usually in mapping is juicing up the map. So I'm targeting a divination card, for example, targeting currency, uniques and stuff. For a sextant to not put any monsters on the map is like a giant red flag. And, you know, I do make exceptions to that rule occasionally. Like on the Promenade farm where I made 19x an hour, I did have the sextant unique bosses or unique monsters drop corrupted items, which technically does not add any items or any monsters on the map, but it is so good, so lucrative that it overrides the issue of not contributing to the juice in any way. This one, however, I don't think it's so weird. I think it's a great section. I like the fact that they added this, and like the sextant for legions, for example, like doubles the amount of simulacrum, or doubles the amount of legion splinters and emblems that drop, but doesn't add any juice to the map. I think that's great that they have those kinds of sextant on there. So it allows somebody to like kind of go all in on a specific farm. And it's cool that they could do that. And it definitely kind of piqued my interest in wanting to know some of the details here. Again, these numbers, the problem that I have, and the major criticism I have with all of this testing here is that this information is still as incredibly in-depth and as much effort that went into this as there was. There's nothing about time on here. There's nothing about how long does it take to do a map with Chayula Sextant? How long does it take to do a map with Expedition? And it's not like they can just have a bunch of different people test the different things. Different people are going to have different quality of characters, different speed testing. There's just so many variables that... Yeah, and again, like the major criticism I have to this entire project is that, as you know, it's just shooting for the moon, and there's no way you can hit it. You can't possibly like determine the currency per hour averages of each individual one. Like people want to know. People don't really. I think people don't really want to know what makes currency. They want to know what makes the best currency for the amount of time that I have to spend doing it. And I think even the most casual players probably want that information more than anything, and this just doesn't give it. And I don't blame him for that. I don't blame PathofMath for that. It just can't really be done. It would just take way too much. AI hasn't quite advanced far enough for us to be able to determine that. I suppose, you know, in 100 years that will actually be pretty easy to figure out, because we can just program an AI to run a million maps of every single possible variable there is, and then compute those numbers out that way. But for now, we can't really do that. Kind of makes you think gaming won't be that fun in 100 years, will it? When the AI can just do everything for us. Yeah. So this is Blight. Now, I did do Blight, of course. I tried to do it ever since my really popular video about Blight back last league came out. Unfortunately, Blight was awful this season. Now, it was very misleading because there was cool things like the new oil extractor oils. Like the whole dynamic with oils was certainly buffed. But I never did find a tainted oil either, and I did corrupt a lot of my blighted maps. That thing drops really rarely. Yeah, I also was going to make a blight ravaged farming video to see how much currency, but I quickly discovered that it was really falling behind in the amount of currency I was able to make, so I just decided to scrap that plan. I don't want to make a video about something that I know isn't making anywhere near as much currency as other things I'm doing. Well, they're working with the best. Only the best. That's what I care about. Okay, heist. Yeah, don't care about that. So that was blighted maps before. This is blight in maps. Yeah, so exotic watchstones were ripped out of the game, and they were a big contributing factor to blight being so good. They were how I was getting like 10 or 15 blighted maps in one run. Now, core map may come back in 3.18, and it may, and blight, if I see on the patch notes that they dramatically buffed blight, because honestly, they probably should. I might go back to blight farming, first week or two, but I don't know. Especially if the whole delirium thing doesn't work out, but I kind of doubt it, because I'm going to make a soul thirst character, which is going to rely heavily on speed running through a map as fast as possible with shrines and everything, and shrines aren't that great for blight. Anyway, essences. Again, doesn't add any juice to the map. I don't really like Essence personally. I know a lot of people like it, and it definitely has a place. It's always going to be at least somewhat valuable, for sure. Legion emblem farming. Now, I just started doing this. Like last week. And currently been coming out, and I'm actually in the middle of doing a 100 map farming session that will go on my YouTube channel, involving basically the farm I did all season, except I substituted Harbinger out for Legion, and I've been quite surprised at how much currency this makes. Now, I think the net profit here is a little bit low because there is more investment here, especially if you go put in all the sextants for that. But the thing that's so nice about Legion is that's a lot of juice, and it's really fast. Like, you click it and you kill everything, you get a bunch of headhunter buffs, you kill everything again, and yeah, you have to click on a couple chests, so that sucks. But anyway, interesting that they sold the emblems on TFT. Yeah, sell your emblems on TFT. Don't sell them in game. You get a premium price for that as full sets. For all the 5-way farmers, they go on TFT to buy their emblems in sets, and you can sell them for like 1x a piece easily. Metamorph, I did mess with this a little bit last season, but man, I feel like it's super lackluster, especially when I tighten my loot filter and I go and do a metamorph and then nothing shows up on the drops, and it's like, wow. Metamorph sounds actually pretty good in like week 1 maybe, but other than that, I don't know. Wow, Harvest is a real hard one to determine. I just got a tier 4 seed actually the other day. I hardly even check Harvest anymore. I went down there and there was a tier 4 seed. I was checking for cluster implicits, and I got a synth item, which I still have, which I haven't sold even for 3x. But it's like days before the season ends, so nobody cares anymore. Yeah, I do think Harvest has the potential to be incredible, but the problem for me with Harvest and juicing and magic finding is that it's another zone. You have to go down there, you have to click things, there's a lot of delay, and you lose your buffs the whole time. Also, the monsters are pretty difficult, but there's a lot of interacting with interface, kind of like Expedition, a lot of interface interacting going on, and also you cannot directly sell those things. I don't mind using TFT, but it definitely takes away from... I don't want to be mapping and being like in the groove mapping, and then somebody messages me about a craft and I can pull out and go, do that for them. Ironically, the more I am a hideout warrior in a particular league, the more favorable Harvest sounds. Like, if I'm kind of spending a lot of the league in the hideout, crafting, doing things like that, I like being messaged by somebody randomly saying, hey, can I get this Harvest craft? I'm like, sure, come on right on in, we'll do it, no problem. But if I am full-blown mapping for a particular season like I did this season, it's not good. Now, I will be going into Harvest, obviously, in the first week or two. The X currency, the Y currencies, things are really good. I'm going to be buying a stack of random fossils, a stack of random delirium orbs. Hopefully, I'll just farm my own delirium orbs. to change those out to stacks of oils. That's really good to have those. I do plan to have on me like at least 2 of each semi-premium cluster base for the switcheroo, because you have Awaken PoE. So even if you don't know the cluster market, you kind of know which bases are good. You just kind of have to know which bases are good, and then you don't have to know which modifiers are good. You can just check each time you hit the craft. If you hit something you think might be good, you can check Awaken PoE and see if that's actually valuable or not. A lot of RNG involved in that, but anyway, yeah, that's harvest. Okay, what about beast farming? I've never done this. I've actually never done this. I thought for a hot second to do this, but knowing that people can just have 6-person parties and do this, I'm just like, why would I even try to compete with that? It's honestly kind of bewildering if this is a decent currency for our strategy for a solo player, because that just, what does that say about 6-man farming botting? If that is the case. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about this. I do use beast crafting for some specific things. I typically just buy the beast on TFT. I don't sell beast ever. I don't think I've ever sold a beast before. Could be good though. Deli mirror farming. Ooh, one of my favorites. Okay, I like they puts, all the things here. I don't see a number on this one. He's got the numbers on some of the others. Does this one have numbers? Oh, yeah. So some of these he doesn't have numbers on because it's not done. Still not done. Delirium mirror farming, obviously, you have to... It coincides with juicing and magic finding terrifically. I love it because of the 8-mod corrupted sextant. So I quite often have corrupted maps, 8 modifiers, tons of pack size, tons of quantity. I can't put delirium orbs on that map. It's already corrupted, but I can force a delirium mirror onto it, and that's a lot of fun. Promenade was super cool, doing 8-mod corrupted promenade maps, farming patient cards, farming 6 links, mega juicing those up. 19x an hour, 19x an hour I made somewhere around between month 1 and 2. That was a lot of fun. Challenging. It's definitely a challenging farm, but it was fun. Juicing. Okay, now this one applies to me. Let's take a hard look at this one. This chapter I want to talk about juicing your maps. This chapter isn't going to be a strategy in and of itself. A complete amalgamation. Okay. When people say juicing, they're basically referring to, yeah, and this is my preferred strategy, juicing, which some people call magic finding. I sometimes call divination card farming, because it's usually on a map where a divination card can drop. Let's see what he chose here. Yeah, unlocking your 5-map device. Kind of important. Harbinger. Value of 1 Harbinger with Harbinger is very bad for map juicing. I mean, it's okay, but again, I've said this before. The greatest thing about Harbinger in juicing is that the sextant, there is no sextant that really makes it shine, so you don't have to feel bad about not using a sextant with it. You just need the Atlas passives, which there aren't that many you have to devote to, and then you just need the Scarab, and that's it. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people are doing this, so the Scarab was unusually expensive. I still never did get a Mirror Shard from a Harbinger this season, which I think is a bit of a crime. I killed countless, probably thousands of Harbingers this season and never got a single Mirror Shard. I'm not sure why. Pretty sure I should have gotten at least one. Let's see. Okay, I never did do a mega juice or an insane juicing winged Scarab Harbinger thing, but it is nice. Winged goes all the way up to 7 additional Harbingers. This section's a big trap. I definitely don't recommend. Okay, so Harbinger. All right, Abyss. So Abyss is actually pretty good. Super cheap. I can't believe how cheap it is. A little bit annoying of a mechanic. Takes extra time. You have to babysit the dumb thing a lot, which I don't like. Like, unlike Breach, you don't have to babysit Breach. You can come back and to kill it later, after the fact. Abyss, you really have to babysit. Has spawning issues, too. sometimes when it gets locked up in a corner or something, and it can bug out and not spawn all the monsters it should be. But, of course, with all the increased extra monsters you can spawn and everything, it is really, really good. Generally speaking. Just a little frustrating, I guess. Alva, okay, so Alva you use for like the biggest mega juicing stuff you did. I don't do it for Cemetery because it's low amount of juice, and actually I don't even think it's worth doing. When Alva spawns randomly in my maps with what I do on Cemetery, I don't even go in and do it because it's surprisingly few monsters. I'll do it if Delirium is on the map, but if not, there's surprisingly few monsters down there, and I come out as a net negative on my Headhunter buffs, which I don't like. And almost nothing drops in there with no Atlas passive. Now, if you put Atlas passives on there, that changes a lot. Certainly. Legion. Okay, I started doing this for the first time here. It is interesting, Legion. Unlike Abyss, for example, Legion, you can only the Scarab only puts 1, except for Winged. It puts 2. So it's a very low number of legions. So just getting 1 more legion from a sexton is actually a really big deal. And so this is deceivingly valuable. Very good sexton. Each areas contain an additional legion encounter. You can buy those in bulk for very, very cheap. But it really does increase to a large extent how much currency per hour I make because it juices the map up in a big way. And obviously, legions are uniquely lucrative, even at the end of the season. You get a lot of extra currency from those pure emblem drops, from those incubators, things like that. Now, Breach you got to talk about there. So, Chayula Breach farming, just like having the Breach nodes that force Chayula Breaches more onto them, that seemed pretty good early on in the season, but it very quickly got diluted down, and Chayula Splinters were quite quickly worth almost nothing somehow. Chayula Breaches are worth something like 30 or 40 chaos at this point. Very cheap. And I actually pulled my points out of there. It seemed like kind of a waste of points. And especially since still, unlike with Legion, with Breach, you got to click those individual splinters. They do stack up in sizes of 2 or 3. But, Legion drops like 5, 6, 10, 12 at once. And it's like one click for that many is a worthy click. But with Breach, they really ought to change that. That would be one thing I'd like to see them change. So I would like to see Breaches no longer drop their splinters 1 or 2 at a time, and instead just drop them all right. Like when the Breach it would be perfect because the Breach collapses in on itself, and then the second it's done spawning, just boom, a little loot explosion. All the splinters drop in one stack right then and there. That would be nice. I would definitely consider putting points back into Chayula Breach farming if it did that. Because I put Breaches on every single map anyway. For the 3 points into Flash Breach, that's so good for juicing and magic finding. I don't know why. It's talking about like putting Breach on the map device. I mean, I guess. Surely he talks about Beyond in here. He better talk about Beyond in here. Flash Breach, good, okay. Area contained 4% chance to contain additional breaches. Now here's a huge misconception. Okay, I got a major criticism here. Blight may come as a surprise, but it's actually one of the best mechanics when it comes to adding loads of monsters onto your map, and it requires very little investment. Simply throw a rusted Blight Scarab on your map. It will instantly be adding a ton of monsters. So does Ritual. Ritual adds a ton of monsters on the map. Guess what? They don't drop anything. They drop literally nothing. And Blight, there's something in the programming. I know this with almost absolute certainty because I've done enough Blights and juiced maps. Blight is not like Legion. It's not like Breach, where the monsters drop their standard, have sort of standard drop tables given to them. Blight has been severely diminished. So at the end of a Blight explosion, I know I can see how many monsters I'm killing in a given Blight. And for that explosion at the end to with my fairly strict loot filter to drop like 1 Awakened Sexton and 2 Chaos Orbs, and that's all I see, that's something's not right there. Because a typical Legion or Breach is going to drop way more than that. With fewer monsters, by the way. So Blight definitely quite lackluster on the drops. They've changed something. This is one of my biggest concerns or complaints about what happened to Blight. I don't know what happened, but they definitely tinkered in with the drop tables of Blight monsters, and it has been reduced. It has been. There's no other way. Now, it does add a lot of Beyond on the map, so like I do understand like running Blight with the Beyond Sexton, Beyond unique monsters drop corrupted items. That combination is pretty decent actually, but you're utilizing Blight for a totally different purpose there. It's not about Blight and the monsters it drops. And of course, the Blight chests are so bad. Everybody knows that, especially if you're not spec'd into it in any way. So yeah, immune response, I get it. 100% more non-unique monsters. They spawn faster. Spawn faster is actually really nice, but it depends on your route. Anyway, just not very good, in my opinion. Beyond it, so I always start a Blight because I can do a Blight in a map and I can like go around, do different things, and if it's not making me really add time to my farm, I'll kind of do the Blight, but quite often I'll also let it die in the middle. And there's obviously a loot explosion involved, and I swear to you, almost every single time I see nothing drop from it. It's wild. I can tell you one piece of anecdotal evidence. I've never ever gotten a brother stash from a Blight explosion, ever, and that's actually kind of odd because I've done enough Blights or enough partial Blights to have. You would think I would have seen that happen at least once. Given the fact that I've gotten, I don't know, probably at least 50, 60, 70 brother stashes from breaches, and, I've done breaches all throughout the season as well, that's kind of odd that I haven't seen one from Blight at all. Beyond, okay, there we go. Beyond actually does not have any scarabs. Yeah, true. Well, that'd be kind of sick if it did. Yeah, okay, this Sexton unfortunately costs a lot. Now, it is terrific for the juicing, but it's actually, this Sextant slaying enemies closer, that the 6%er, it's actually not very good for kind of lower levels of juicing, because to put the Sextant on, you're also taking a different Sextant away. Like if I put the Sextant on, for example, I'm removing Hunted Traders. Okay, so Hunted Traders is a lot of monsters. So if I just don't have hardly any monsters on the map, I don't know if I say hardly. If I don't have a huge number of monsters on the map already, from like huge mega juicing amount of juice on the map, then this Sextant kind of loses some of its power. So this Sextant, in my opinion, is really only reserved for super, super high levels of juicing, which I didn't do really this season at all, almost at all. Crossing my fingers for Beyond to be on the map device. We should have already found out. Like last season, we already knew at this point if it was going to be on in the following season, and we don't know yet. But it's been on for 2 seasons now, so I kind of doubt it. I just hope Domination's put on there. Wait, he didn't have shrines. There's no shrine farming on here. What is that? Shrine's not an option, man. Shrine juices the map. Yeah, Shrine's all about reducing the amount of time you spend in the map more than anything. Delirium, yeah. So a lot of people like Beyond, Delirium, more conventional stuff. Super good for Nemesis farming. You notice Nemesis is not on the list here because Nemesis is gone. I think the whole days of going like super crazy on Beyond and then getting 100%, 80%, 100% Delirium from Delirium Orbs, I think those days are kind of over. That farming's not all that great. It costs too much investment for too little to get back out of it, in my opinion. And if you do something like that, then you can no longer really look at any mechanics for what they are and how much currency per hour they give, because it would just completely be nullified by the enormous investment cost. For example, if you put Legion into a map like that, the amount of currency you're making from the Legions themselves is going to pale in comparison to the investment it costs to put in that. Same for Harbinger. Same for Strongbox, all that stuff. So at that point, you're really going all in on the magic finding juice. And I don't think it's necessarily the best thing to do, to go all in on one specific thing. It kind of was, with Nemesis farming. But yeah, things changed. Using a divination scarab is a good example of not going all in on juice, because a divination scarab does not add any juice to the map, technically. It just increases your chance of getting that divination scarab. So I really think about how I'm farming maps this season. It's a huge amount of diversity. I'm farming Legion for the emblems. I'm farming, in some cases, Harbinger for like shards and stuff. I'm farming Strongbox for scarabs, random divination cards, Awakened Sextant, a lot of Awakened Sextants from Strongbox. I'm farming random stuff, uniques from Magic Find on gear. I'm farming divination cards from the Divination Scarab. I'm farming just all kinds of different stuff from just juicing up the map. I'm cranking up pack size and increased effective modifiers, all that stuff. So it's actually a lot of different, when I think about it. Some of these things, are interconnected and do synergize with one another, but some of them are a little bit, in a way, they are their own separate thing. And it's not just like I'm doing this strategy to get as many exalted orbs as I can out of Nemesis mapping, something like that. I think we're almost done with this here. We got lab farming here at the end. I don't really care to look at this. Not big on lab farming. Boss farming, I'm a mapper. I'm not a bosser. I thought about going into bossing, maybe this league with the Tornado Shot elemental version, but I decided against it. I like mapping too much. Bossing apparently made really bad currency per hour. As you can see, a lot of these are negative here. Now, I'm not reading into this really deeply. I'm sure it's not finished. So I obviously, one look at this, I don't fully understand how it all works and everything. So keep that in mind. I don't know what that is. Okay, that's for programming purposes, programming stuff. Okay, so there you have it. That's basically all I have. Oh my God, I'm scared to look, see how long this is. 50 minutes I've been on here. So, well, I didn't want this video to be 1 hour, but I knew it was going to be something like 30 minutes or so. Because I want to give my honest reaction to it. So if you guys watched it, great. I appreciate it. This is kind of my authentic take on PathofMath's cool new, what do you call it, his database? His currency earning spreadsheet, essentially. If you are someone who does struggle with making any currency at all whatsoever, like you don't even know where to begin, I think this is a fantastic resource. But if you're someone like me who is, and I think many of my viewers who are no longer at the novice level of farming and playing the game, and you're trying to kind of figure out what's not necessarily what is the best strategy, but which ones are truly kind of top tier, upper echelon currency earning strategies. Those are the kind of videos I focus on making, and of course that will continue. Again, mega love for PathofMath, love his content. Only criticism I have about this entire thing is that it just does not address the enormous elephant in the room, which is time, the factor of time. And there's not anything we can really do about it. I don't want to put this much work into it and then also have to worry about time as well. So again, not blaming anyone for this, but that is kind of the obvious criticism somebody at a higher level would have about a spreadsheet like this. And guess what? He already addressed it. He said this document, this stuff is not for me. It's not for many of you who are watching this video right now. It is for the casual new player who doesn't even know where to begin about making currency, doesn't hardly even know how scarabs work, doesn't know which passives are good to take and which ones you might ignore. And I think for that person, this is a terrific resource, and I hope that PathofMath continues developing his content. I'm low-key jealous at the fact that he managed to create content that some of his content is highly relevant to me, and some of it is highly relevant to people who are completely unlike me. That is something really challenging to do as a content creator, to diversify your audience, but not do it in a way that it alienates one side of your audience. So that's all I got to say on this reaction video. I hope it comes through well for you guys. Look forward to another reaction video very soon on the 3.18 sort of patch notes and the mega reveal and all that. I will definitely do that. Here I got another few days off work still on this vacation, so I'll have plenty of time to do that. We'll not be doing it live though, because it will take place at 3 a.m. My local time. So anyway, we'll see you on that video, I guess. Thanks again for watching. See you around.